well. So.
The gentlelady from Michigan is recognized for 5 minutes. Ms. Tlaib.
Thank you so much, Chairman. Thank you, Chair Powell, for being here. Do you agree with the April Federal Reserve report that compensation incentives contributed to Silicon Valley's bank failure?
I'm sorry, did I didn't
So the April Federal Reserve report, it said that compensation incentives contributed to the Silicon Valley Bank's failure. Do you agree with that?
I would say it's at best a tertiary factor, but it probably had something to do with it. For me, not a major.
So that's no?
That's very small.
Okay, so it did. Okay. So do you agree the appropriate rules on incentive compensation could have reduced the likelihood of Silicon Valley's failure? Maybe? You know, if they didn't take all
No,
that
I
money?
really don't think so. I mean,
So if
I
they
don't
didn't
think
take all
it's
that money?
I don't think it's a first-order question for Silicon Valley. A lot went wrong there.
Yeah.
Incentive comp would be
They actually
way
blame you
down the
guys.
list.
They
Sorry?
blame the oversight, even though they didn't respond to your
That's part of it.
correspondences.
We took our medicine.
Yeah. Do you think it also has something to do with the fact that Section 956 of the Dodd-Frank rule hasn't been finalized by you?
No, I don't.
You don't think it's the reason?
I don't.
You don't think it's because people made money off of the failure?
I think nothing.
You don't think money drove them to do what they did?
I didn't say that. What I said, you know, there are lots
So
of.
they made money from it. They actually, it was a lottery for them,
I do not
right?
think that incentive compensation arrangements were at the heart of the Silicon Valley Bank failure. No.
Okay. Do you support a robust rulemaking for executive compensation, Chairman?
I know that the.
Oh, you don't?
I'm sorry?
Oh, do you support robust rulemaking for executive compensation? Do you believe in Section 956?
Section 956 is the law. As I understand it, the agencies are looking at doing something. It's been 12 or 13 years, right?
Yeah, multiple
Nothing
agencies.
has happened.
Yeah.
It's been hard to get it done. I lived through the last episodes of trying
Yeah.
to get it done.
So do you believe in a robust
I
rulemaking
believe-
process for executive compensation?
I do, yeah.
Oh, great. Oh, that's awesome. Will you commit to helping finalize the Dodd-Frank section of 956 this year?
I wouldn't
It's been
say that.
12 years, Chairman.
Yeah, no, I want.
It played a role in the bank failure, Chairman.
If I can answer, what I would like to do is
So
understand.
you don't want to do it this year? I mean, I'm being serious. You're saying no?
If the member will
me answer.
allow the witness to answer the question, we've had a good day today, and the gentleman's trying to answer the question.
I would like to understand the problem we're solving, and then I would like to see a proposal that addresses that problem.
Okay. Do you believe people should profit off of bank failure? The executives that made those decisions?
No, not the
They should not
executives.
profit.
Well, I would say executives who are responsible for a failed bank should not profit from the failure. Absolutely not.
So they get to walk away with compensation based on their failure?
Well, you're asking,
true, it
about a different rule that would have clawback and things like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's something I know you've been looking at for a while.
Yeah.
That's certainly an appropriate thing to look at.
Yeah, because it's just going to continue to happen, is my opinion. It doesn't have to be yours, but it sure the heck could have helped here if they knew they were going to walk away, if they could walk away with not the bonuses, the compensation. I mean, they made money, a significant amount of money for their bank failure. Last question, Chair Powell. Do you believe that the impacts of climate change pose a risk? Have you been talking about that more?
I certainly believe that climate change is real and poses risks over the longer term, sure.
So there have been some that say, higher interest rates actually makes it more difficult to build out the renewable energy projects and other investments required to prevent climate impacts. Do you believe that to be true?
It's not I believe that we need to do our job that you've assigned us, which is maximum employment and price stability, and we do it through interest rates. It's not our job to consider the effect on climate change of that, and I think any effect on climate change of that would be kind of minuscule.
Okay. Last question, Chair Powell. Who do you see as the major winners and losers from high interest rates in terms of income groups, age groups, and racial or other demographics?
So the point of high interest rates in the current environment is to bring inflation under control. The people who are hurt the most by inflation, as you know, are people who are on a fixed income, who right away are in trouble when the cost of transportation, food, energy, and when those things go up, they don't have financial resources to deal with it.
Have you
And
looked
we're
at the-
accountable to provide price stability to the American people. Those people benefit the most over time from stable prices.
Gentlelady's time's expired. We'll go to the gentlelady from Missouri, Ms. Wagner, for 5 minutes.
I thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I thank you, Chair Powell, for your service. I want to associate myself with the comments of my colleague, Mr. Himes. I am concerned about banks' commercial real estate exposure, and I do hope that the Fed is doing everything it can to ensure that the exposure that these banks have will continue to be, in your words, manageable, because this is a looming crisis out there, given the workplace changes and dynamics. Chair Powell, in remarks on Bloomberg, Larry Summers, former Treasury Secretary during the Obama administration, stated that, and I quote, "It would be much more productive for our central bank to be focused on the question of real estate portfolios in the banks they supervise than, quote, some of the more abstract and politically driven arguments about various kinds of capital charges on the largest banks." Do you agree, sir, that it would be more productive for Fed supervisors and regulators to keep their eye on the ball, in this case, commercial real estate and other real estate investments?
I absolutely think we need to keep our eye on the ball on commercial real estate, and I think we're doing that.
I hope so. According to your semi-annual report, the median of members on your Monetary Policy Committee estimate that your target overnight interest rate will average 4.1% in 2024. Does that mean that the median number of members anticipate that you will be cutting interest rates sometime this year by as much or more than a full percentage point?
No, it doesn't mean that. Actually, the Summary of Economic Projection showed a median of, this is in the December FOMC, so this is now 3 months old, showed 3 rate cuts this year. So that would be 75 basis points, 3/4 of 1 percentage point. You were quoting the next year's number, so you would add that on. That was through 2025, I believe.
So are you anticipating that there would be more cuts here coming?
It's not, the way I would say it is, we're making economic projections. And so we write down a path of growth, what's happening in the labor market, what happens with inflation, and what goes with those forecasts is an appropriate monetary policy, appropriate interest rates. So we expect inflation to come down, the economy to keep growing, the labor market to remain strong. And if that's the case, it will be appropriate for interest rates to come down, significantly over the coming years.
Good.
What will really happen, though, it's not a plan. What will happen is actually what the economy needs. The economy will do something different from that, and that's what will actually happen.
Chairman Powell, 15 members of Congress, including myself, Ranking Member Sherman, Chairman Barr, and Ranking Member Foster, sent a letter to the prudential regulators regarding the impact that Basel will have on U.S. capital markets activities. The letter highlighted critical areas of our U.S. markets, including securities underwriting, securitization, and derivatives that will be severely impacted by the Basel proposal. This was also a common theme represented throughout the comment file on the Basel proposal, over 95% of them. Considering that 75% of financing in the U.S. is done through our capital markets, which are the deepest and most liquid in the world, why would the Fed continue to pursue this flawed proposal instead of re-proposing a rule that would not have such a drastic impact on the U.S. economy?
Well, in fact, the capital markets concerns you raised are among those that I raised myself in our open board meeting when we put this out for comment.
You said you wanted broad support, and obviously there is dissent among some of your governors, the FDIC, others. So how are we coming on this, and how are we
we're working our way through the comments, and we're coming to the point where it'll be appropriate for us to begin to evaluate what changes are appropriate. I've said I think those changes will be broad and material, and that's where that is. But we haven't made any decisions yet. We just got the comments.
In my role as chairman of the Capital Markets Subcommittee, I have seen SEC Chair Gensler push the envelope in terms of rules and regulations that go well beyond the congressional mandate, even encroaching on the jurisdiction of other financial regulators. What is the Fed's response to another agency encroaching on its jurisdiction?
We do not comment on other agencies' regulation. However, if they were actually, to take your hypothetical at face value, if they were to come into our jurisdiction,
Oh, it's more than a hypothetical.
and we would react.
Good. Well, I hope you do. I yield back.